We good here? Hey, everybody, how's it going? I know, long time no see, right? Welcome back to MUFC versus everybody. I am your host, Sean, and you may have forgotten what I look like. You may have forgotten the sound of my voice. I know, it hurts. It hurts me too. Um, but like I put out a few weeks ago, it has been a minute, and the reason for that being is I have injured my foot playing football a few weeks ago. Tore some ligaments in my plant foot, my left foot, and it sucks. Honestly, it's shitty. Um, just rolled my ankle really badly, and it was rough. And ankle rolls, they happen all the time. I've rolled my ankle many times playing, and usually it's painful for a few moments. You kind of rotate it a little bit, stretch it, and get up. This one, as soon as it happened, I knew it was done. I heard a big crunch, and I kind of went dizzy a little bit. Sat down for a few moments and kind of just tried to let that pass, and tried to get up and walk on it, and could not put any weight whatsoever on my foot. So killed that whole footy day real quick. And I've never had anything like that happen before, so I just went over to urgent care real quick. Try to do an x-ray just to see if anything was broken. No broken bones, but they did tell me he's just looking at it and kind of trying to rotate it. Really can't rotate my foot still, my ankle. The doctor said it looks like you definitely did some sort of either a really bad strain or like a small tear to your ligaments. So that's fun. But the issue with that is obviously it's hard to walk, but I don't know if you can tell, and I've said many times, this room is upstairs, and I have a quad. So if you're not familiar with a quad, it's basically just stairs everywhere. It's like the Primrose Steps around here, like from Inception. It's just stairs. And so it's been difficult to get up and down, really difficult to carry things because I kind of need hands to help me. And I didn't want to risk my computer, didn't want to risk any of that trying to get up the stairs. And so kind of took a few days off. Honestly, my foot feels a lot better. I still can't play footy, obviously. I still can't walk very well. I'm still limping, but it does feel a lot better. Honestly, my ass hurts a lot worse from having to sit on the couch for like a week and a half, if I'm honest. I keep trying to like rotate this to lay on like one side. It's sore, and I can't stand it. And I'm probably, my poor wife, I'm probably super miserable. An outsider would probably think I'm depressed or something, but like when I can't do stuff, I get bummed out really quick, really easily. So, but that being said, I do apologize for having to take a bit of a hiatus. I pulled a Luke Shaw and, had to spend some time in the recovery room. And that's sorry, just a joke, Shaw. We love you, man. We hope you're fit after the Euros and you don't come back limping. But I'm back now. I'm back with some news. Thankfully, also, it's been a slow couple weeks for news. We obviously, United won the FA Cup. So that was a big piece of news. But then since then, it's been a little bit of a slow news week. Not a whole lot going on. Obviously, a lot of the international clubs are participating in some friendlies right now as they prep for the Euros. We've got Copa America, I think, going on as well. So there's a lot of different international tournaments going on right now. We got some friendlies this week, which I hate that word friendly. Just like I hate Nations League. It's just another word for friendly, because all I hear when I hear there's like a Rosetta Stone in my mind that translates the word friendly into what it really is, just injury risk. I hate friendlies. I hate all of it. And I don't even really like preseason tours. Because we saw what happened on the preseason tour before this season, right? We lost Kobbie Mainoo for a minute. Arsenal lost Urian Timber for the entire season, pretty much. I get that we need to play some preseason matches. I'm always like a little cringe every time I watch these. So all that being said, I do appreciate you guys being here. I do appreciate the support, and I'm glad you guys are back. Before we jump in, though, with today's news roundup, just don't forget to hit that like button. Even if you just want to, you're happy that I'm not, out for too much longer. You're happy that it was nothing serious. Show me some love. Give me some like there. Subscribe to the channel if you are new, please. That would be super, because that is how the channel grows. obviously how we reach more people, how we get more of you guys involved. Lets me know. Obviously, it's a good gauge for me to look at and what you guys are feeling. But it also is what gets you entered into giveaways. Yes, I do giveaways on my channel because I believe in showing appreciation for people who are sticking by, who are helping the channel grow, who are showing support in that way. We already did one giveaway. That went to Dylan J. He won that Rio Ferdinand jersey from 2009, 2010. It is a brand new jersey, and it's got tags. Obviously, it's not brand new because it's from 15 years ago, but it is brand new. I've never worn it. It's got patches, Ferdinand on it. It's a beautiful jersey. Get him hooked up with that. I do have another one though, because remember I said I was going to do two. I was going to do one at the end of the season just for shits and gigs. And I did say that I was going to do another one if we won the FA Cup. You remember that? I know. I don't forget. But I did say I was going to do another one. And so I do have the next giveaway. It's going to be crinkly. You can't really see it that well. So this is the next giveaway that I'm going to be doing. Yeah, I'm not going to take it out of the packaging because I think you guys probably want it to stay in the packaging. So this is United's pre-match top from earlier this season. It is brand new. As you can see, it's got tags on it and everything. It is a men's medium. I'm going to put this up. You guys see that? That is what it looks like out of the package. You guys recognize that confetti print, everything. That is what it looks like. But it is in the package. It is a medium. It is new. Tags and everything. This is what we're going to be giving away next. If you want to be entered in that giveaway, you guys, you have to be subscribed to the channel. Don't be afraid to leave a comment. It can't hurt your chances, right? To leave some comments. Don't be afraid to share any videos. Get your friends, get your family involved, and see if you guys want to be involved in that giveaway. So I'll probably, what's today? Say Saturday? All right, we'll probably do that in a couple days as we ramp up towards the Euros. Maybe people are going to get involved more, but that'll be the next giveaway. So subscribe to the channel. Let me know your thoughts, and let me know what you think of the giveaways. That lets me know. So keep an eye out for that. Some news. Let's get stuck into the news, guys. Got a few things to go over. Obviously, a lot of transfer talk. Transfer talk in general has been a little quiet in recent weeks, but that's okay. I think we're kind of in that in-between phase where, obviously we had the Champions League final, and then we've got the Euros coming. What did you guys think of the Champions League final, by the way? So I met a bunch of guys at a pub near me. That's my buddy and I. It's our Champions League pub. We always go there to watch Champions League. They used to do a $2 burger thing on Tuesdays where you get start with a burger for $2 and then you can add stuff to it for a little bit piece. They don't do that anymore. I think my buddy and I nearly put them out of business taking advantage of that deal. But so a bunch of us, had a little private area watching the game. Obviously, my buddy's a big Madrid fan. Interesting game. Let me know your thoughts on that. I thought Madrid obviously were kind of up against it for a little while. Dortmund really good defensively. Dortmund good kind of winning that ball back. It's, Bellingham didn't have his best game in a Madrid shirt, which is fine. He's young. It's his first Champions League final. He's had such a stellar season. You really can't fault him for that. And I thought Dortmund did a good job getting into chances. I don't think Ferland Mendy is that great of a left back at Madrid. I think he's very suspect defensively. And we saw that on show. Dortmund were getting that ball out wide to Adeyemi, and his pace is dangerous. But the problem is, and I said this to my buddy, the problem is, as we saw, it ended 2-0. Dortmund's attack just is not at that level. Yeah, you've got guys like Schlotterbeck, who I think is so underrated. I really like Nico Schlotterbeck. Julian Brandt is a tremendous player. Really, really good player for them. But their attack is just not at the level that it needs to be to take advantage. I mean, Fulkrug had a really good season last year. He's not that level of striker that Dortmund need if they really want to have difference makers, if they really want to level up in some of these tournaments. And fair play to them for getting to the Champions League final. I think that their fight, their industrious play style has got them there. They've just outworked a lot of teams. It was kind of like we saw with Bayern, especially in that first leg against Madrid. Konrad Laimer was a force of nature, but you need just a little something extra in there. And I think that Dortmund can get a good striker, which is difficult to do because most time that kind of level of striker going to the Bundesliga is going to probably go to Bayern Munich. But Dortmund needs someone. I think if Dortmund want to be take it more seriously in that regard. But fair play to them. Decent final. Obviously, we all, it was 2-0, ended 2-0. And Real Madrid with their 15 Champions League. That's insane that they have 15 Champions League. I can't even. And they've strengthened, right? They just picked up Kylian Mbappe as well. That's insane. Like, just do we even do Champions League next year? Just give them the trophy again. So obviously, as I've said many times, the Champions League to me is not as impressive as winning the Premier League because you don't even have to, it's kind of like the NFL. You don't have to play every team to win it. I'm not saying that, it's not an impressive feat to win it. I'm saying it's not as impressive as to me. You have to play every team twice to win your league, and there's 38 game season. Champions League, you could get to the final without really having to play anybody of note. Obviously it's just, that is what it is. Or same with some of the domestic cups. People will be like, oh, you're a United fan, you play Coventry. Well, we also beat Liverpool and we beat City in the final. Madrid won it the other year. They beat Chelsea and they beat City, and they get there. And like, when you can beat those teams, it does make a difference to me anyway. And as a player, I think it would mean a little bit more to play the best. That's the point of the Champions League. Or at least that's what it was when it started. It's not that way anymore. So moving on, let's dive into some transfer rumors. So apparently 51 million is the magic number when it comes to our transfers. It's such a random number. We've been linked with a few players in the last week or so, and each time a rumor popped up, it's always we bid 51 million. We bid 51 million. So like João Neves, I think Benjamin Sesko was the other one, and then Lenny Yoro. It's 51 million, 51 million, 51 million. It's like Man City, right? Man City somehow signed all these players for 50 million. Except in the last few years when they got Grealish and Vardio for 100 million piece, and that was money well spent, wasn't it? But in any case, this 51 million magic. Does anyone else think that's weird? 51 million. It's just such a random number, and it's so weird that it's the number that's been popping up in all these different rumors, like 51, 51, 50. It's so strange to me. In any case, though, we do seem to be kind of like all in for João Neves from Benfica. Obviously, I've spoken about him many times. I love João Neves. He's such a good player. Problem is, with Casemiro probably leaving, we don't have a true defensive number 6. And I do think that while João Neves does have those qualities, I think that he reminds me more of a Scholesy or even like a Frankie de Jong, where he can put in a tackle. His tackle numbers are good. He's good. He's more of that deep lying. He drops deep, picks up the ball, and starts making something happening from deep. He's not that physical force that I think we do need in our number 6 position. Obviously, we've been linked with Youssouf Fofana. I think Fofana has been rumored to be available for like 25 million. To me, that's a snip. If we get Youssouf Fofana and João Neves this summer, some way, shape, or form, we're able to do that. That's our midfield locked up for a while, in my opinion. With Kobbie Mainoo, Mason Mount, Bruno Fernandes, we are good in that regard. But on João Neves, so Sport Witness is reporting that after we've had that 51 million bid rejected by Benfica, and they're holding out for a lot more, Sport Witness is reporting that we will be returning with a higher bid after that first one is rejected. I do think João Neves is such a good player. Like I've said, I think he's better than Enzo Fernandez. But again, it's a lot of money on a position that the priority position. We really need to prioritize this summer. We have a limited budget. We have a bloated squad. Yes, we freed up funds with Varane and Martial leaving, and maybe Casemiro if we can get money for him. But that's just wages that we've gotten off the books. We haven't actually gotten money from those players because they left for free. Same like David De Gea. And so it's going to be interesting to see how Ineos prioritize the signings this summer. I think that we've seen it's been kind of their main positions have been like a center back, a defensive midfielder, and like a striker. Obviously, we've been linked with Michael Olise. There's been talks of a lot of different center backs. I think the center back market is a bit inflated this summer, kind of like that striker market was a few years ago. And so I do think that works in our favor. But João Neves is definitely one I would sign. I don't know if it's one you're able to sign now. And the problem with that is, like with any of these young players who are really, really good, right? It's you run the risk. You either pay now if you have the money, which we don't really, or someone else is going to pay it, or you if no one buys him this summer, then he's probably going to be more expensive next summer. And so it's difficult. So we'll keep an eye on John Neves. I like him. I know you guys like him. Let me know your thoughts. Would you buy him this summer? Would you be your priority? What would you pay for him? Let me know. Obviously, another player we were interested in is Everton center back Jared Branthwaite. Obviously, we know center back is a priority for us. Raphael Varane just left for free. We still have Maguire and Lindelof on the books as well. We still got Licha, who looked really good in that final. Do you see him staring daggers at Kyle Walker on his way out? Man, I love Licha so much. That dude just does not take any shit. He gives zero fucks. I don't care. He doesn't care who you are. He does not care who you are. He will fight anyone. And I love it. I'm up for it. I know we've needed personalities like that for so long. You could tell he's a guy who prioritizes playing. He prioritizes the club first and doesn't prioritize his wages or any of that status stuff. He just plays, and he plays his way, and that's what we need. No nonsense defending. I love it. On that, though, on center back, on Branthwaite. So the MEN, Manchester Evening News, a lot of people have a lot of thoughts on the MEN. They're reporting that Everton are still holding out for that like 75, 80 million price tag for Branthwaite, which they're entitled to ask that much. I don't think he's worth it. I think the English tax is going to kill it. I think the Premier League tax is killing it. I think the United being United is killing it. He's probably worth more like 50, 55 tops. He is good. He's still young. He's still raw. He still has a lot to learn. Is he good enough, and does he have the quality enough, the football IQ enough, the match intelligence enough? Does he have that to come in and immediately start alongside Licha? That's the question. Like, he's starting, he's getting minutes, which is what you want. You don't want to spend that much and then not have him start. And so it's interesting. Everton do have to raise some money. They've been hit hard this year with PSR, FFP stuff. They've been fine. They've had points deductions. They need to raise funds before the end of this month to satisfy and comply with the financial regulation. And so this could turn into a situation of who blinks first, like a game of chicken. Are United going to cough up the money and pay it to get it done, or are we going to make Everton sweat until the transfer window starts going, and they just accept offers maybe 20 million below? Problem is Amadou Onana, a Belgian midfielder, who Everton paid quite a bit of money for by their standards. He played like 30, 35 million for Amadou Onana. He's also reportedly linked with a lot of clubs. So it might also be an instance of, if they sell one of these big name players for big money, whoever goes first, does that mean that Everton no longer need the money and the other player is not going to get sold? It's interesting. If I were Everton, you could do a lot to rebuild the squad with money from both those players. Let's say you get 100 million for both. I think that could be a good squad rebuild. I saw some rumors that Calvert-Lewin is drawing some interest as well. I can't remember who that was. Let me know in the comments if you remember. So Everton have a lot to do. But this is one of those examples that I've been talking about, one of those deals, one of these transfer sagas that Dan Ashworth could have been very useful in. But no, we want to haggle with Newcastle for over a month now, about a difference of $10 million in compensation to bring Ashworth, who's on guarding leave, by the way. When Ashworth could have been in the job, he could have been working, and he could have been negotiating and working on deals like this and shave off a ton of money. He could have paid for himself on a deal like this. And so Ineos want to be taken seriously. These are the kind of things that are not working in their favor. So we'll see what happens with Branthwaite. Do I think he's ready to start alongside Licha at Manchester United? I could go either way. Do I think he's worth 75, 80 million? Definitely not. So we'll see. I think that, honestly, Todibo is probably the best option. And speaking of Todibo, we've also seen new reports from L'Equipe in a French outlet that his price tag is now around 21 million, which, honestly, that is such a steal. Like, that's a no-brainer for a center back of that caliber. And again, I do think it might be reflective of an overinflated center back market right now. There's a lot of center backs being talked about, a lot of interest being thrown out there from Lenny Yoro, Gleason Bremer, Branthwaite, Todibo. A lot of these names being put out there. Tosin just went for free. Lloyd Kelly's out there still. A lot of names being put out there. And it's just, I think that might be helping. but I don't care. I mean, that's a price is what it is. With players that you're interested in, just get them in. It doesn't matter. I don't care about the internal review of United. If there's players that you've been watching and players you've been monitoring and become available, you don't need to figure out what's going on with the manager and internal review process, what's going on with people working from home or the training complex. Like if there's players that you've been looking at who are available and you just get it done, who cares? Heck, see if Lindelof wants to go to France and throw him in the deal as well to jump ahead of the queue. I mean, I feel like a lot of us online could probably think that we're better at this than the club because we have a very limited perspective. But it is baffling sometimes how some of these decisions and some of this logic isn't at least displayed by United. And this isn't an Ineos thing. This has been like this for years. So, and I also read, again, the center back market might be getting a little more bloated. So I read also this morning that Sky Sports Germany have reported that Bayern have put a lot of players up for sale. So obviously they just let go of Thomas Tuchel. That was kind of a back and forth thing for a while. But one of those players is Matthias de Ligt. So obviously, Dutch center back. He was a young captain for Erik ten Hag's very, very superb Ajax side. He went to Juve, picked up some injuries, didn't quite work out. Went to Bayern. Bayern have had some weird man. It's weird that Bayern, they have guys like Matthias de Ligt and they bring in Kim Min-jae, they bring in Eric Dyer. This is what happens sometimes when you change managers. I remember James Garner, who was doing so well when he was on loan at Watford, and then Watford sacked their manager, and then new manager, I forget who the new manager was that came in, but Garner barely played after that. This is what happens sometimes with new managers, and it's not. People are too quick to jump on the player, but it's just managers have different preferences, which is why managers sign players they want. There's different. Would you take de Ligt? Would you take Branthwaite? Would you prefer Todibo? I think if I had my choice, I'd probably go with Todibo. His numbers are really good. I think he can play the system pretty well. He's good ball progressing out from the back. I think it's a no-brainer, like I said. I don't think that we should delay this anymore. But we'll see what happens. With center backs in mind, too, the MEN are also reporting that we're going to be offering Johnny Evans a 1-year contract extension. This came out a couple of days ago. This rumor started popping out. I remember reading this rumor and thinking, and I even posted it on Twitter, like, that probably means we're only going to be signing one center back this summer. We're probably going to still sell one of Maguire and Lindelof. Campoalo might get more minutes. Evans will be here. Licha. And we're probably going to only bring in one center back. The better option would have been to try to get one of these free center backs, or maybe we might still see someone young come in, like an Ansel Minio or something, for like pennies, single digit price, 6-7 million. But I think bringing in Evans is the financial move, because I think we're only going to have money for one center back, and I just think that's the way it is. There's nothing wrong with Evans. He's been a solid servant this year. Who can forget that brilliant long ball to find Bruno for his volley against Burnley? That was such a brilliant goal, such a brilliant play from him. It reminded me of that Daley Blind pass from in the 2014 World Cup that Robin van Persie headed in against Spain. Wow, do you guys remember that goal? I feel old. That was 10 years ago almost. Man, I remember being at that same pub watching that match with my buddy. Just orange jerseys everywhere in the pub. A big Dutch contingent there. And when that goal went in, the place lost it. I'm just limbs, absolute limbs. Man, this is why I don't have a problem watching matches at home. It is what it is. But I love watching matches with a bunch of people. I love it when it gets loud. I love it when people are singing. I love the Bishop Blaze in Manchester. I fell in love with that place the first time. These are my people. I love it. So anytime you can find a good soccer bar, anytime you can find a good group of people to watch matches with, and it gets loud, it gets rowdy, people are singing, just you cling to that. It is so priceless. I love it. But on Evans, we're skint. United is skint. We're re-upping the Evans for another year probably. So again, I do think one of Maguire and Lindelof will leave. It'll probably be Lindelof. In my opinion, it should be Lindelof. Or if you had to choose which one to prioritize selling, it would probably be Lindelof. because I think that, I don't think he offers as much to us as Maguire does. People go in on Maguire. He's too slow. I think the people who have been ripping on Maguire because he's too slow since we signed him are people who play too many video games. The people who will say about every player they're not fast enough, they're not fast, because they want to control them in the game, and they want them to be fast. Like, that doesn't matter. Maguire has been fine when called upon this season. His first season with us was superb. The problem is he just doesn't look as good in a Ten Hag system because it doesn't suit his strengths. If he were to go to West Ham or like Everton or something like that, he would look just fine because he's good in that kind of a system. He would look great under Jose Mourinho. There's no secret Jose Mourinho wanted him. We just didn't get him when I wanted him when he was at Hull. Waited till he was at Leicester, and then we probably paid twice as much as we would have had to pay if he was at Hull. So, but yeah, 1 year extension for Evans. What do you think about that? Has he done enough to deserve it? What do you think that means about our transfer activities this summer? Let me know your thoughts, and we'll jump on that as it keeps popping up. I saw a bit of news today too. I'm gonna get water first though. I saw some news today too, linking Bruno to a move to the Saudi league. I know that that's come out over the course of the season that Saudi clubs might be looking at Bruno. This is coming from Caught Offside. They reported that Al Nassr, who Ronaldo plays for, who Casemiro's been heavily linked with. I think, is Benzema at Al Nassr, or is he at Al Hilal? I can't remember. It's hard to keep track of all the different Saudi. I don't follow the Saudi league. I don't think anybody follows the Saudi league. Their matches have probably less people in them as like some children's sides around here. But in any case, Caught Offside reporting that Al Nassr are going to be making a £150 million offer for Bruno. That's a lot of money. I remember saying a few weeks back, if somebody were to offer like $100 million for Bruno, I'd probably take it, because what you could do with that money is invaluable in some ways. Right now, the Saudi league currently has an 8-player limit, I believe, on foreign players, but that will be jumping to 10 starting next season. So I think we saw obviously a big spending spree from the Saudi league when they kind of first started getting involved, and that died down as a lot of these bigger clubs in that league started filling their rosters with foreign players. That is going to be increasing. So between, what was it, like 3, 4, 5, 6 of the bigger clubs in the Saudi league, that is potentially like 10, 12 players that they could be bringing in, like a Bruno, like a Kevin De Bruyne, like a Virgil van Dijk, who I saw linked So we will see. What are your thoughts on that potential link for Bruno? Would you sell him for that kind of money? I might be tempted at that point. He's going to be 30 this year. He's not going to get any more valuable to any other. You're not going to get that money from any other club. I think it would be hard, given where we are financially, given the rebuild. It would be hard to say no to that. Doesn't mean I want Bruno to be sold. Doesn't mean I don't like Bruno. I'm a big Bruno fan. He's been such a bright spark for us since he signed. One of the best midfielders in the league. But that's a lot of money. So I could almost triple our transfer budget, and you could bring in another attacking midfielder, another creator. I have a lot that I look at constantly. Georgi Sudikov at Shakhtar, Szymanski at Fenerbahce is another really good player. Obviously, Xavi Simons. We got Florian Wirtz. A lot of these guys. I don't think Florian Wirtz is going anywhere, and I don't know if PSG are going to be letting go of Simons anytime soon. But there's a lot of players out there that I think you could do a lot with that kind of money, and so it's worth thinking about. Baturina is another one. Dinamo Zagreb. So that's Bruno. On Turkey, there was a Turkish outlet, Photomac, I think it's called. They reported earlier this week that United have rejected a 10 million bid from Galatasaray for Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Galatasaray, remember, they sold their starting right back, Sasha Boye. They sold him to Bayern in January. I like Sasha Boye. He's a good little right back. So they might be in need for an upgrade in that regard. While I wouldn't prioritize signing a right back this summer, I do also think that Wan-Bissaka probably should be sold probably next summer, just because I don't think he's good. His defensive attributes have gone down a bit. He's given away some penalties in the last few months as well, and he doesn't really offer a whole lot attacking wise. I do think we can improve on him. 10 million for him is a piss take, though, in my opinion. I would ask at least 25 million for Wan-Bissaka. This isn't me just being like, oh, we paid 50 million for him. I want like, no, you're not going to get he's a Premier League player. He is first team quality for a lot of teams in this league, whether it's like a Villa or something. And he's going to be worth 25 million. So it's one of those weird things, though. He's not quite good enough for a Manchester United starting 11, but he's a little too good just to be a rotation option. So what do you do with a player like that? And then plus, you'd have to replace him if we sold him. It's similar like Scott McTominay. You know, I would probably choose to sell McTominay, but then you have to replace him because that leaves a hole in the squad. Yeah, it's 40 million probably, but you have to replace him. And so it's this summer again needs to be about prioritizing, being smart. You know, get the priority positions taken care of first, and then we can look at starting to maybe raise that floor a little bit. This goes for strikers too. So it's been super, super quiet on the striker front in recent weeks. There was that blitz 3, 4, 5 months ago. We're linked with all sorts of strikers, right? Everybody. And I've done a video on striker targets who I'd like us to look at. If you haven't yet watched that video, please go do it. There's some interesting options in there. Remember, we were linked with like Joshua Zirkzee, who does look like he's going to Milan. I remember we talked about that a few weeks ago. His preference was to stay in Italy, and he was linked with Milan a few weeks back. Could that mean that Mata is on his way to Milan? I don't know, but we'll see. There's also been some Benjamin Sesko talk. I don't really know if that's a thing. I think that, yeah, we'll see. That would be difficult. This day and age in the modern game, I don't know if you could have a player like Højlund and Sesko coexisting in the same team. I wish it could happen. I wish we could do that. I don't understand why it is so difficult. City do it all the time. You know, they have star players in multiple positions in it. And we play enough games, we should be able to rotate and promise minutes. So we'll see. It could be worse. I just don't know if I haven't seen enough from Sesko to convince me that he's going to be a difference maker or he's what we need. Plus, we can't have another young striker. It's one thing for them to challenge each other, but I think we need someone a little older who Rasmus Højlund can learn about, you know, improving his movement in his box, improving his reading of wide players when they have the ball and changing things like that, how to trick defenders, how to play off the shoulder a little differently, things like that. Ivan Toney would be an example. Ivan Toney, he's still available, and he fits that experienced Premier League kind of profile that we reportedly be targeting right now. He's 28 now, good age, and a lot of people have issues with his gambling thing. There are worse things to have issues with, honestly. There's worse things to struggle with. And again, nothing I say is professional advice, but I don't always 100% buy the whole gambling addiction excuse when players get caught doing these kinds of things. There's a lot more criteria to an addiction of that sort than just simply gambling. So you guys need to do a little homework on that to see what I'm talking about, but I'll let you do that. I think the most recent report said Ivan Toney's price between like 30 and 40 million, which is actually a good deal for someone of his age, of his quality, English Premier League striker. I think that's a good deal. The question would be, you know, would he be good being a rotation option? Because it's not just about goals or his age or the price tag, right? You need someone who's going to be okay with rotating at a club like United, because no disrespect for Brentford, but this is Manchester United. The pressure is there. And so what that means is, what's your personality like? What's your, you know, where's your head at? Can you handle that kind of pressure? Can you handle being a rotation option with Rasmus Højlund? Can you be selfless and be a leader to a younger striker like that and offer to teach and not just focus solely on yourself? These are things that are intangibles that, you know, Sir Alex would place very high value on, you know, personality, mentality. Can you do that? It's one thing to do goals. We can teach a lot of players to score goals, but you can't really teach a whole lot of that stuff. That comes from, you know, being humble, being teachable is super important. Experience, life experience, not just Premier League experience or football, life experience, you know, because all of that shapes those facets of who you are as a person. But other than some of those recent links, it has been quiet on the striker front. We do need a striker. We only have one real striker. I know, like, Rashford can play there. I wouldn't want him to play there though, but we'll see what happens. It's gone eerily quiet on the strikers front, but eerily quiet is not out of the ordinary this summer from United and especially from Ineos. Which brings us to our next point. You like how I've been really good with the segues today. I'm not planning that either. I didn't know what the next slide was going to say. That just happened like that. But on that quiet on the Ineos front factor, it has been really, really quiet. We have obviously we don't know what's going on with Ten Hag. We saw a lot of bullcrap reports right before the FA Cup final that he was going to get sacked. We've seen back and forth, all different. It's literally like just a slugfest. He's staying, he's going. Like everybody's reporting different things. The problem with that is like I have no problem tuning out the media nonsense and the rumors. The problem is the silence from Ineos. It's deafening. We've got this internal review process going on, which is I don't get what that has to do with this. Like it just doesn't make sense to me. Because we've seen they're looking at Carrington, they're looking at the stadium. They've done a lot of stuff with staff. They've gotten rid of a lot of these perks and things. Some people are going to be made redundant. I get all that. And I think people are too quick to call Ineos and Sir Jim and his team the new Glazers. I think the problem, again, it's kind of like the Ten Hag being in charge and control of transfer things. It's not necessarily that these situations have started in normal and we're taking away. It's that these situations have been allowed to get way out of hand and we're returning them to a very normal, healthy, functioning level. Managers aren't meant to have as big of control over transfers and scouting and target identification as Ten Hag has had to do, because he came into United Club where we've had idiots like Arnold and Murtaugh and Ed Woodward over the last decade in charge of all that stuff. There was zero semblance of any structure. So Ten Hag had to. That was like way more than any manager really should. And so we're returning that to a normal, healthy level is what we're doing. The same with some of the perks and the lavish spending and the maybe the bloated overall staff at United as a whole. I don't want people to be fired. I don't want people to be made redundant. I don't want that. But the problem is the Glazers have let that happen. And it's just not healthy. It's probably not. And we saw like when Ineos looked at some of the dressing rooms and some of the IT staff, like this is like a cluttered like mess. You guys are sloppy. You guys are not efficient. Like it's just the way it is. And so I think we're seeing some of that get returned to a healthy level of functioning. It sucks that some people are going to maybe lose jobs because of it. And it sucks, yeah, to some degree that some of these people didn't get free tickets and free food to the FA Cup final. But it is what it is. Lavish spending, reckless spending, irresponsible, unwise spending has been a theme over the last decade in a lot of different ways. And it sounds like this is one of them. And I don't have a problem with it getting back to normal, but we'll see what happens because it's just one part of it. I've said many times this summer is crucial. And I get that Ineos and the new owners in general have a lot of assessments to do. They want to avoid making the same mistakes that have gotten us to this point under the previous regime. But there's a fine line between being smart and being very, very slow, almost too slow. This summer transfer window was a big window. We need to move faster, especially with the Euros coming up the end of the week. Like we have to move faster. Ten Hag needs a proper preseason with these players. The players need time to bed in with their squad, bed in with the manager. So it's Ineos. I get like their head is in the right place. They're trying to avoid making the same mistakes, but in doing so, they've completely disregarded the fact that they're making the same mistakes in some of these other areas as well. They're moving too slow. United have a history of moving too slow in the market. And so we need to do better. As far as Ten Hag goes, it's been super quiet. There's been a little bit of whispers here and there about Tuchel and Poch and stuff. I think it's just media talk. I don't have a problem with the club or clubs in general keep monitoring manager targets the same way they monitor player targets. What I have a problem with is talking to managers without any sort of communication with Ten Hag, without any sort of communication with us. Any of us have been super, super quiet. And that I think has been frustrating. I criticize some content creators in general because I know part of the whole content creator thing is having things to talk about. And that's frustrating when there is silence. I get it. But I think that too often when there is silence, we try to fill it with speculation or rumors and stuff because we just want to fill that hole with something. And it's just, nature abhors a vacuum, right? And there's a vacuum here as far as manager news. So we're willing to believe a lot. The problem is that we tend to believe what suits our mental and emotional agenda, and we tend to kind of tune everything else out, even when it maybe has more potential validity. So that's just human nature, and it's not anybody's fault. But we'll see. I think that as we're getting into this crucial time, I think the Premier League fixtures are going to be released soon as well. I think we're going to hear some more ramping up this week, but we need to see something. Speaking of Ineos, though, it's also been reported this week that Sir Jim is going to be putting up Nice for sale soon. We saw some confusion and some potential complications, and I think some worry from a lot of United fans after United won the FA Cup and Nice qualified for the Europa League. So both of us qualified for the Europa League. There was some talk that might have put that kind of dual qualification in jeopardy, and one of those clubs is going to have to get dropped down the Conference League. That's all been figured out, but it sounds like it's being reported that Nice is going to be put up for sale to avoid any of those potential future complications. And I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with dual club ownership. I have a problem when it becomes sneaky and almost cheating, like sometimes with like what City have done in some ways, allegedly. But we'll see. I think what I would like about it is just not split loyalties, not kind of split attentions, and especially financially. If we could focus on one club or the other, that's fine. I think Nice probably need maybe new owners. I think that there's a lot to be done there, and that's not saying Ineos have done a bad job. I mean, how much can you do in the French league? It's like taking over like Stuttgart and expecting them to win Bundesliga when you've got Bayern who dominate every year. It's just not going to happen. You can't compete with PSG. Other teams have landed some blows over the years. I know Monaco won it a while back, and I think was it Lille won it recently. But that's other than that, it's pretty much business as usual. So we'll see what happens with that. But I would like Ineos and Sir Jim's focus to be on United and not split between two clubs. And again, if it helps avoid any sort of potential complications when it comes to European competitions, transfers and things like City picking up Savio from Girona and stuff, it's just helps us avoid any of that and stay out of that kind of negativity limelight. I'm all for it. So let's get to some positive stuff, right? I hope you guys are enjoying it, and it's going to be a longer video. Obviously, it's been a minute, but yeah, if you're following along, again, subscribe to the channel, like the video, please. It really helps, and especially, if you want to get involved in the giveaways, like this little beauty, subscribe to the channel. It's the only way you're going to get involved, so let me know. Let's all take a moment to behold Kobbie Mainoo and his latest accolades. So Kobbie has been such a bright spark for us this season. One of just again looks so good in any game he's played, any competition he's played in, any opponent he's played against. He has been awarded the FA Cup Player of the Season. What a tremendous accomplishment for Kobbie Mainoo in his first professional season as first team footballer. And he's only been playing since November, guys. He was injured in preseason. Late November too, almost December. And so what he's done, what he's shown us, and what he can do as far as potential, what we've seen, like the sky's the limit almost. And it sounds like he's got a good head on his shoulders too, and that just makes it so much more exciting to watch. At the end of the day, Kobbie is the truth. Kobbie is the key. Kobbie is the future. Kobbie is the answer, no matter the question. Kobbie. Don't let Jacob Steinberg or any other English media's agendas against United or against English players, don't let that fool you. We saw that, England did lose 1-0 to Iceland yesterday, and the media, especially Steinberg, were quick to jump on Kobbie and point out his positioning and his reading of the game. Yes, let's blame a teenager in his first big international situation and poor positioning when you've got all these other players on the pitch. It's funny how it becomes an individual sport in a situation like that. A team sport can quickly turn into an individual sport when somebody loses. I saw Steinberg trying to deflect after the fact and play the victim after he got called out for his comments. Let's just add him to the list. Huh? Let's add him with Samuel Luckers, with ESPN. Let's add him to the list. Like, you clearly cannot be trusted. This is what happens. You're going to get booted. You don't blame a teenager for a situation like that when you've got guys like Declan Rice next to him and stuff. So rein it in and get a hold of yourself. Give your head a wobble there, Steinberg. And other big news, can't believe we're waited till this long to talk about this. The Premier League, and by Premier League, when we say the Premier League, when it comes to things like this, it's all the clubs together. So the Premier League clubs have voted to keep VAR moving forward. The vote was pretty much unanimous, 19-1, with Wolves being the only one voting against. They voted to scrap it. I would vote to scrap it. I hate VAR, so VAR stays. But what we're hearing now is the league has giving assurances that they're trying to improve it with some new features. So what we'll be seeing moving forward is semi-automatic offsides, which will reportedly reduce that decision time to like half a minute. We've seen semi-automatic offsides used in other competitions and other leagues, and it's not been bad. We're also going to see the referees start announcing the decisions in real time, kind of like they do in the NFL. You know, when there's a call on the field, the refs will talk about it. They'll come in, they'll talk on the mic. It goes throughout the system, the stadium, and the speaker. Everyone can hear what's going on. We're also going to get replays via the screens throughout the stadium. So the screens are big enough. We see at home, we kind of see what the ref's looking at. We're going to get some more of those. So people in the stands, I think that's been a big complaint with people, the match-going fans, is that a lot of this is to the benefit of the people who are at home watching TV around the world. There's a bit of a divide between the regular match-going fans, the season ticket holders, the locals, and people like me who live in the States and support from afar. That's a tense subject. I know a lot of people blame foreign fans for like the money involved, the reason there's certain teams are where they are, like City and whatnot. I can't apologize for that. I didn't have anything to do with it. But we'll see. We're also going to see some improvements to the training, the VAR related training for match officials moving forward to get people more involved, which I don't get why it's taken so long to have some VAR specific training. When COVID hit and a lot of therapists like myself started working virtually, or teachers, for instance, had to start teaching virtually and stuff, there's no prep for that. There's no manual for that. And so you've seen a lot of things have to get changed. And like now that there's a lot of courses and certifications I can do to get more familiarized with working virtually versus working in person, face-to-face, because it is very, very different, especially when you're working with like couples or something. But at the end of the day, I don't care about any of those changes to VR. I just scrap it. If you look at my Twitter profile, the pinned tweet is just a hashtag of scrap VAR. Scrap it, scrap it, scrap it, scrap it. It's awful. It's not fit for purpose. And we can say VAR, VAR. VAR stands for video assistant referee. And the problem is the standard of officiating in England is not good enough. So all VAR has done is just put a microscope on the poor standard of refereeing and brought to light all the substandard officiating. So scrap it. Just get back to where we were. You can forgive a mistake made in real time. You can't forgive a mistake made by a room full of people who have looked at something from multiple angles dozens of times. It just doesn't look good. And how many rules have we seen change because of VAR? We have subjective offsides now. We've seen handball rules change, penalty rules change, all this crap. Like there's so many changes that have come about post the introduction of VAR that I think just make it look worse than it is. So scrap it, move on, just call it a trial period. Say, you know what, we were testing it, didn't seem like it worked. Well, we're scrapping it, moving on. It's not that hard. How about the Euros, guys? Anybody excited for the Euros? I need to look at the schedule a bit. It starts this coming up Friday, right? Again, which is when the Premier League schedule I think is going to be released, which is nice. Yeah, we've got Germany, Scotland, 14th, so that's Friday, and then it kicks right off, moving into Spain, Croatia, Hungary, Switzerland, Serbia, England. That could be a good one. After that, I always like to try to find the good matchups, right? I'm trying to see who's going to be playing. Spain, Italy, that could be a good one. Denmark, England, that could be a good one. So Netherlands, France, that's probably my first big one. That's Friday the 21st. So I'll definitely be catching that one. Who are you guys' favorites for the Euros this year? I haven't looked at the squads in depth to see who's playing, who's not. Obviously, Italy won it last time out against England. How are you liking England this year? No Rashford. Some people have been sent home. Harry Maguire's not part of it. It's interesting to me that Luke Shaw is a part. He's been missing for a while now for United. Fit enough for the Euros. I would really hate for him to pick up something in the Euros and then be injured again moving forward. So again, this is why I think a left back should be a bigger priority than I think it is. But we'll see. Let me know your thoughts. Who are your favorites? Are there any dark horses, any players? One of the things I like about tournaments is seeing some of the players that pop up. Not because I think they're good targets, like people will point out, like Amrabat, like or James Rodriguez, who went to Madrid after that. Golovin had a good World Cup on Russia. I remember Alexander Golovin. He went to Monaco, and I don't remember where he is now, but it's mostly because I tell my buddy this, like because he's a Madrid fan, the same fan, and he was like, "Oh, I want to know who Madrid are going to be signing." I'm like, "Well, we'll just wait for the Euros because whoever stands out in that tournament will probably be picked up by Madrid." Because Florentino Perez loves a shiny new toy. Keylor Navas was picked up after a World Cup. James Rodriguez. That's what's going to happen. So just watch the Euros for the standout player, and that's who Florentino Perez will target. But it could be a good opportunity for some younger players. The international tournaments are always interesting because they're only come around every couple of years. The squads kind of come in these phases. You're always at a stage where some players are on their way out and some players are on their way in. It's rare that you see it all line up. Like for England right now, it's probably one of the rare instances where the squad is kind of all in that same place, quality, age, like they're there. And England are the favorites, but we've seen favorites struggle. Belgium, the golden generation of Belgium, didn't really do a whole lot under Roberto Martinez. France, like they peaked 2018. They got to the final again recently against Argentina, but like again, it's international football is just different. I don't know how else to describe it. I know I don't have any room to chat because U.S. men's national team doesn't really do a whole lot. Technically, we didn't even qualify for World Cup a few years back, and we struggled in last year's World Cup in Qatar. It was a hard group, to be fair, but I'll still support them. World Cup's coming in the U.S. in a couple of years. I'll probably try to take some trips and go catch a couple of those over a long week, and so we'll be there. But let me know your thoughts on the Euros, guys. Who's your favorite? Who's your dark horses? And what's your bracket look like? And finally, big up Livonia City Football Club for picking up 3 points on the road last night against Thundercats SC. Yes, the club was called Thundercats SC. I don't know why. It's literally in this league, in the Midwest Premier League, and some of these small leagues, anybody can start a team if you've got some money. And you can call it whatever you want to. We've got the Ypsilanti Yetis, who just started recently. We've got Liquid Football, which is an interesting name, in my opinion. BIH Grand Rapids is another one. But yeah, Thundercats, that's an interesting one. So in any case, Livonia did pick up the win, 3 points on the road, much needed 3 points after a shaky start to the season. I think that jumps them up a couple spots in the league table. But it's good. It's good that they got 3 points. And also good that Livonia's rivals Lansing Common lost their match last night too, 2-0. So that's always nice to see. So big up Livonia City and up the Wheats as always. That is going to do it for me today, though, everyone. So glad to be back. I'm glad my foot's doing better. I appreciate the thoughts and the well wishes and the prayers. It was not a fun little injury. I'm still not going to be back to normal for a while. Probably not going to be able to play on it for another few months. But I am able to move around a little bit better. And the bruising has gone down. If you could see my foot, over the last week or so, it was kind of a big old bruise on the outside left side of my left foot. And that was not fun. So glad to be back. Glad to come back with a bang. Good news show. I really enjoyed catching up with you guys. I'm really looking forward to getting this out to somebody. It is a medium warm-up pre-match top United, the black confetti with the blue and kind of that kind of peach-colored confetti from this year. It's new. It's in the bag. I don't want to get it out because I know you guys will probably appreciate it staying in the bag, but I did show you what it looks like. So if you want to be entered to win that, again, that is what it looks like. Take a look at that. You got to be subscribed. You got to be involved. I want to make sure that I'm giving back to the people who help the channel grow. So Get involved, subscribe, leave comments. I will reply to the comments. Like the videos, share them if you want to, whatever you got to do. But I will be checking back in a couple days, taking a look at new subscribers, and then we will pick one and we will get that shipped out. So I'm excited to do that. I'm excited to give you guys back. Let me know what you think on the video. Let me know your thoughts on the Euros, on any of the transfer news, on manager talk, on Ineos, any of that. So until next time, thank you for coming back to the channel, MUFC versus everybody, and I will see you guys on the next one. Later.